That's it. I knew there was something I was doing wrong. So welcome to the almost end of this course. And I'm going to be doing the Shin letter today. So we have done Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Daleth, Hey, Vav, Zain, Het, Tet, Yod, the two kafs, Lamed, the two mems, the two nuns, Samech, Ayin, the two pays, the two tsadis, the kof, resh, and we're now in Shin, almost at the end of the AlefBet. Shin is the 21st letter. There's 22 letters in the Hebrew AlefBet, and this is letter number 21. It has a numerical value of 300. As I've told you before, in the first few up to Yod, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 10, and then it goes 20, 30, 40, 50, and then it goes into the hundreds. So the last few letters are in the hundreds. Next week's one is 400. That's the end of the hundreds. So it's got a value of 300. It's only one letter. It's not a double letter, but it can have different sounds depending on where the dot is. Usually we find the dot here over the first part of it, because remember, we're reading from right to left. So the sh sound. Sometimes the dot goes over to there and becomes a s sound. And I'm not sure why it becomes shin or sin, but it's seen as one letter, not as two letters. And I don't know why. Sometimes they're seen as two letters, and sometimes they've got final forms, and sometimes they're seen as one letter. But this is seen as one letter, the Shin letter. What does it mean? Tooth, steadfast, change, return, and year. And I'll show you in a minute, because as I said, it's not just a letter, it's also a name of the letter, Shin. It comes in different varieties. You'll see it written in various ways. This is the Shin and this is the Sin. In the everyday Hebrew, it tends to be, looks like an E. And if the dot's over there, it's a sh, and if it's not, it's a s. And quite often people don't even bother to do the dot, and it's assumed to be a sh. So they tend to put the dot in when it's really necessary to say it's a s. In the throat, it's or in the sound that we make, because obviously there's lots of different ways of making a sound. The shin is said to be in the teeth, that very sh sound that we make. The traditional way that it turns up in quite a few ways. I know I've said that it's in the printed form, it looks these three parts, and in the cursive form, the modern Hebrew form, it's like this. But we'll often see it written in things like the Torah scroll and in certain accoutrements, which I'll go through in a second, as all being joined together at this base with these three letters, three parts of it going out. So instead of having a square base, it all comes to a point. So it looks like three vavs, three different vavs joined together. The shin and the sin, they're all this vav letter, that lovely vav, that straight up and down sort of letter connecting above and below. And so you'll see it in different forms, the everyday form, this form where sometimes it's slightly elongated, sometimes very elongated. Rashi, who's a medieval commentator, used to write it like this, which made it just another way to try and remember it. But nowadays it's come into this sort of version of it, and this is the cursive version. The design of the Shin, the 21st letter, is known also as fire and transformation, mainly because these vavs go upwards. They look slightly fiery, I suppose. The word literally means tooth, but it's its shape is this like a 3 branches of a flame, and it's weird that tooth and frame, we'll get to in a minute why they would be the same letters. So there's 3 pillars. Some people talk about the 3 pillars of the tree of life, reaching up like a flame, purifying, changing the condition of our lives, teaching us to become aligned with the whole of creation. So this fieriness. Also, of course, it's got a right and a left and a middle to it. So the right and left, the extreme opposites. As I said before in Sophie Sira, things are created with their opposites, good and bad, up and down, north and south. So things are created with their opposites, and there's a requirement to balance them in the middle. And the Shin sort of really sums that up for us. There are lots and lots of Shin words. Shin itself means tooth. You might have heard of the word shalom, also starting with a Shin, and Shabbat starts with a Shin, and Shomer. There's Shomer and Shoma. They sound very similar. Shomer is the one who guards the Shabbat. Actually, we talk about Shomer Shabbat, keeping the keeping the Shabbat. But we also have this word Shoma, which is right at the front of our very famous prayer, Shema Yisrael. Shema, with a ayin at the end. Shema Yisrael is a very, very famous prayer of ours. Shofar is broken, and shofar is that long horned instrument that we play that makes a sound to bring in and wake up upstairs sometimes. Shuv, you'll hear a lot in certain prayers, because we are always shuving, we are always turning. And so when we return to something, when we've done something wrong, we talk about teshuva, making repentance. It's translated in English, but it really means turning. And it comes from, teshuva comes from the word shuv, to turn. We read Jonah out at Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is the Day of Atonement, and Jonah is full, particularly the first, well, all of it is full of everybody doing shuving. They're all shuving around the place. They're all turning back, apart from Jonah. It's the one that doesn't turn, but everybody else is shuving, turning back to shuva. Also, you'll hear Shana. You'll hear people say at Rosh Hashanah, Rosh, the head, the year, head of the year, Rosh Hashanah, and people will offer you a happy year. Funnily enough, it also has a link. Shana also means change and repeat. Just like year, a thing that happens all the time as you go round the planet, goes round the sun. I suppose you change and you repeat and repeat and repeat. So there's a link between the year, the word for year, and the meaning change and repeat as well. As a verb, you'll hear it as in people talking about people having a sleep. It comes from the verb yashan, to sleep. And so you'll hear this loveliness about it. I like the idea that there's a slight linkage between the two, that you go to sleep and then you wake up and do the same thing again, then you go to sleep, sleep, repeat, sleep, repeat. So there's an idea of the year and repeat in this Shana. It also gives you Sha'ah, which is the hour, Shanach, which is the second, and a very well-known one, Sheva, which is Shavuot, which is a week. We wish people a good week. Also, the word Shemaim for heaven comes with a shuv at the start. So this shin letter, which reaches upwards, is trying to repair, turn us back from all that is broken. Sheva, they are related, believe me. And Shemaim is our attempt to get up into the heavens, to make earth, or bring the heavens down here, actually, rather than get up to the heaven. We're trying to make the earth heavenly. Shanan also starts sharpen, and of course a tooth is a very sharp object. So a shin and a shanan is kind of related to one another. And Shanat is also a year. Most people say Shana, but occasionally it comes as Shanat. Won't go into a whole load of grammar, but this Che is one of the weak letters, one of the weak consonants, a bit like Aleph and a couple of others, and they sometimes get changed. So it also means it. So meaning of the letter, both the tooth words, Shana, and the fire shape, these three reaching up parts, give meanings of Shin, a process of transformation. When you're using things with your teeth, you're breaking them down, you're grinding it into particles, and then you're building it anew in your bodies. You might not know anything about biology, but that's what's happening in digestion. You're breaking it down. In cooking with fire and making things with heat, you're transforming things as well. So although you'd think tooth and fire are very separate, they both have this transformative process about them. Everything is about transformation. And also because you can transform, you can heal stuff that's broken and restore things. That Shuv idea of turning and healing. The fire also represents unchangeable, unmovable, this constant fire that we sometimes have of divine power. We have a light that's always a light, this sort of fire that burns. We often think about spirit as a sort of fiery matter inside our body. It doesn't change, it remains unchanged. It changes things. And so this fire shape and this tooth, this sharp tooth, change things. They're not themselves changed. So matter is always changing, but our spiritual life is always trying to get back to its source and be like its source. Adam, I was saying in the earlier one, to be like this very high form of human that is made in the image. So that Shin is also the fiery part of that spirit. And also, as I said before, it teaches us balance because of the three verbs. This one in the middle balances between the two extremes. On one hand, in the Kabbalah, we talk about the first sort of emanation of our emotions being of love, chesed, complete love and kindness and mercy. But it has to be balanced on the other side with gevura, because otherwise it's boundless love that you take up everybody else's space as well. And in the great creation of the universe, God had to simsum himself, this humble thing, to make space for us. And gevura, that sounds like it's fierce and just and about truth, also allows space for others to be. It's a balancing act, and the Kabbalists understood that you need the chesed and you need the gevura, and in the middle it balances it, and you have this thing called tiferet. I'll show you at the end. So we're always trying to find a balance between it. We all know the first letter is shalom, peace, is a shin, but it's also the first letter of the word Shaddai, which is one of the names of God, one of the very obvious names of God. For some people, the entire Torah is a name of God, but Shaddai is one of the 70 names, I think, that God appears in the Torah. However, the Shin also stands for sheker, a liar or falsehood. Obviously, in the AlefBet, it goes, you have the kaf and then the resh, and then the Shin. And in the sheker, the word sheker, the Shin has moved to the front before these two letters. And some people say that teaches us that the natural place of the Shin would be at the end here in the AlefBet, but somehow it's moved over to teach us about this sort of deviousness that the Shin can have to make a sheker. And there's this lying that lies between the truth and reality that a lot of us talk about. So Shin has lots of things. The Shin in this shape is a very particular one because it turns up, not only is it 300 in the alphabet and represents the divine power, this Shaddai, but it's also the one that turns up in a lot of our prayer accoutrements. Every group of people that make prayers have things that they wear to make themselves separate. This is prayer time, this is everyday time. And in Judaism, there's a talit that we wear in the morning prayers, not all day, but the morning prayers, and it's got on the edges of it, there are long knotted parts. Oh, here, you can see it in this person's here, which when they're added up, there's 613 knots, and that represents the 613 commandments in the Bible, in the Torah. And also because we are told to wear fringes on the corners of our garment in the Shema prayer that I talked about. But also the Shin we wear in the mornings. Apart from this, we also wear this tefillin, one on our head and one on our arms, wrapped in a particular way, of course. That has to be. And in the tefillin, this Shin appears on these boxes. So that they have this particular shape type Shin on them. And they're worn on the head and on the arm because it says in the Shema prayer that is actually written out and wrapped in these boxes. The Shema prayer that begins Shema, listen, hear, Israel. It says, you shall bind me on your heart. So we bind on the arm nearest to the heart. It's usually the left hand, if you're right-handed, and on the between our eyes. And so you can see these people are wearing between their eyes and on their left hand nearest their heart these boxes wrapped in a certain way with this particular Shin on it. And so those are the tefillin that are worn in the morning prayers, in Mari, in the Shecharit prayers. So they're worn first thing in the morning along with the talit. So they have this Shin on, which reminds us of Shaddai and of Shema prayer. It's this form of the Shin. Shin obviously also alludes to Shabbat, which is a very important day. So Shin stands also for Shalom, as I said, and Shalom does not just mean peace, it means completion or perfection. We're not expecting us to make the world perfect, but we're meant to be doing the work to restore it. And so this Shin, this very holy version of Shin, appears on these certain accoutrements to remind us of El Shaddai, this very mighty version, and of the Shema prayer, and of Shabbat, and of Shalom. We wish each other Shabbat Shalom. The other thing that the Shin is really famous for is the first name of one of the other names of God, the Shekhinah. Shekhinah. The Shekhinah is called this glorious dwelling of God down here on earth. When it's hovering around people, it's not just El Shaddai or Adonai or all these other versions, it's the Shekhinah. It means the indwelling, and that is what we are doing in the Torah. Most of the Torah is spent building a tabernacle, loads and loads of pages about building a tabernacle, which is a mishkan. Means the dwelling place. It's the same word, shechan, that means to dwell. Excuse me. So we are building this mishkan. God has built a universe for us to dwell in, and we are trying to build a mishkan, not that God isn't everywhere, God is everywhere, but a place where you can go to, where you can really have this chat with this Shekhinah, who is in exile with us. The Shekhinah came out of the Garden of Eden with us when we all were exiled. Adam and Eve were exiled out of the Garden of Eden, and the Shekinah aspect of God came out and came into exile with us. There's two words that turn up all the time for this Mishkan. The Mishkan is this temporary tabernacle that goes round with us all the time until we settle and it becomes this mikdash, this place that we will be in. But it's this sort of temporary dwelling place for the holiness. The Shekinah, as I said, the gematria of Shekinah is 300. And when we think about 300, we can almost think about each one of these being 100%. So together it's 300%. 100% represents perfection, shalom, completion. And in the academic world, scoring 100% is kind of amazing. And the same is true in Judaism. But for us, the three things that we're trying to make as good as we possibly can is our thought, which feeds our speech, which feeds our action. And if we can make all of those really good, we have the Shekinah dwelling amongst us. So we have to get our thought, our speech, and our action all to be as good as possible. So that's one of the gematrias of the idea of Shin. The Shin also stands for Shuva, as I said, turning, penitence, returning, turning all the time, shuv, keep shuving. And the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur, is a whole load of teshuva, repentance is going on. Kippur is from the word atonement, and Kippur also adds up to 300, just like the Shin does. That this letter stands for 300. So the word atonement stands for 300 as well, Kippur. It's the sort of power generator that we atone on that day for our sins. And so we're hoping to reach the perfection of that Shin, where our thought, speech, and action are all grounded together. That's the letter Shin, this letter. But the word Shin also has a gematria, and it's 360. So Shin is 300, the letter. Yud is 10. This is a Yud. And Nun is 50. And if we add it together, it's 360. In the Hebrew calendar, our average day is 30 days. We don't have the 28 and the 31s and stuff. We have a leap year every so often. So on the whole, we have 30 days, and 12 months times 30 days is 360, which is this Shin word. So they try to link it together by saying the Shin letter turns up with the same gematria as the word atonement, and atonement comes in with the letter Shin also having an effect that we could atone for the whole year on this one day. So they tried to play these different things together, you can imagine. In the Sefer Yetzirah that I've been talking about, Shin is a mother letter. There's only 3 mother letters, and Shin is the third of it. So we have those double letters with or without the dagesh, the dot in them. And then we have the elemental letters. There's 12 elemental letters. There's 7 of these double letters, like the 7 days of the week. And there's 3 mother letters from which everything is formed. So we've done the Aleph, which is the air, which is that sort of breath, sort of sound. It's before the Chay, it's the silent, the sound you make before you make a sound. It's a beginning, the Aleph, and it stands for Chokhmah, which is to do with incredible wisdom. Earth is created from Mem, this middle, this earth, watery, Mayim is water, this Mayim, very grounded M sound, and stands also for Bina, which is from wisdom comes understanding, you hope. And then at the end that we have this Shin letter, which looks like Ari, heaven, Shemayim, and stands for Keter, which is the first of the Kabbalistic parts of God coming down into various forms that we can understand, Chochmah and Bina being the first other two. And if you don't remember, this is the sort of tree of the Kabbalah, the 10 Sephirot of the Kabbalah, with Keter, the crown, this Shin type, almost up in heaven, and Malchut being the sort of how to run down here on planet Earth. All of them are aspects of the great ideas of godliness. But this is the one right at the top. Chochmah, I talked about being this Aleph one of wisdom, and Bina, understanding. And then these 7 are sort of emotional things. I said Chesed needs to be balanced with Gevurah, judgment. You can't have too much of one or the other. Wisdom, having wisdom needs to be balanced with understanding. That's a problem for you. AI is very good. Artificial intelligence is very good at knowledge, but not at understanding or wisdom, if that helps you at all. It doesn't discern things. We need balance between kindness and judgment, which we get with Tiferet, beauty, balance. We have Netzer and Hod, which are these balanced items that come through into Yesod, our foundation, and down into Malchut. And we are all hoping that the Shekhinah is here down in Malchut with us in the kingdom, has come out of the Garden of Eden with us. So these are the 10 Sephirah, and together with the 22 letters that we're going through, make those 32 gates that I'll show you at the very end. Here are, because this is the last of the Sephirah, with the Shin letter. Here are the 10 Sephirah. In the beginning, God created Keter right at the top, and then it comes down through Chochmah and Bina, and then Chesed, and then Gevurah, Tiferet, Netzer, Hod, Yesod, and Malchut. So we've gone through the Kabbalistic versions of this as well. Shin is, as I said, the third mother letter of the 3, and it comes with the sentence from creation, from the Sephirah that have gone before. This is a mother letter. God made the beasts of the world. It's a fire above. It's heaven in the universe. In the Sefer Yetzirah, it's seen as heaven in the universe. In the year, it's Hod, and in the body, it's head, the head, like Rosh Hashanah, the head of the year. And here we are with Shin, this 24th letter, the third mother letter. So we've done all the Sephirah, and now we've done all the mother letters. And next week we do the final double letter that is spread through these 32 sentences that create the universe. And so I thought we would end with a meditation on Shin. And the meditation is going to be on the Mishkan. So if you want to just for a moment, take a deep breath and relax a little bit into yourselves, and relax into the chair, and think about that Shin of the Mishkan, this traveling tabernacle that is used to make that connection between us and upstairs, us and the heaven, and the Shekhinah that's dwelling over us, particularly when we're praying and when we're thinking about that Mishkan. The Shekhinah that is this part of God that has followed us out, feeling sorry for us, as we exit the garden, the Shekinah that dwells amongst us. And just think of this moving Shekinah and this moving Mishkan, this place of dwelling, a Mishkan, a dwelling place for the Shekinah. And think about your connection to that. Where are you? Where are you right now? Where do you live in your body? Where do you live in your space? What space do you create? Is there room for the Shekinah in your space? And what time are you living in? Are you here now? Because that's what you need to wake up the Shekinah that's hovering over your head in your own Mishkan, your own dwelling place. You need to be here. You need to be here right now.